Freedom is a word every person understands differently. Since childhood, we are told that freedom is the right to choose, the right to speak, the right to live however you want. We are shown symbols of freedom, told stories about countries where people achieved independence, and convinced that if someone is born free, they have every opportunity for a happy life. But as people grow older, they start to notice that in the real world, things work a little differently. You can live in a free country, have rights, have the ability to speak your mind, and still feel limited. Limited in choices, limited in actions, limited in possibilities. And that's when a question that rarely gets asked out loud comes up. If freedom exists for everyone, why can't everyone live the way they want? Why can some people travel the world, choose where to live, decide what to do, and even when to work or whether to work at all, while others have to wake up to an alarm every day, go to a job they don't like, and spend their whole life just trying to pay the bills? Over time, it becomes clear that in today's world there's another factor that impacts freedom far more than laws, words, or symbols ever could. That factor is money. Many people don't like to admit it because it sounds too simple, too harsh. We want to believe that freedom is something high-minded, something spiritual, something beyond material things, but reality shows something different. In today's world, money has become a universal tool that determines how free a person really is. Money decides where you live. Money decides what you can afford. Money decides how much time you have. Money decides who you work with or if you work at all. And the more a person observes life, the clearer it becomes that freedom and money are connected far more deeply than people usually admit. Look at any big city. Massive skyscrapers, expensive cars, private jets, luxurious homes. They all seem like symbols of success, but in reality, they are also symbols of freedom. Because someone with resources can live on their own terms. They can quit a job they don't like. They can move to another country if they want. They can start a new venture, take risks, fail, and start over. They have options, and having options, that's what freedom really is. Now look at the other side. Millions of people live by a schedule they didn't choose. They work not because they want to, but because they have to. They can't just stop and think about what they really want from life because there are bills, obligations, and the fear of losing income. And at that moment, it becomes obvious. Freedom may exist in theory, but in practice, it doesn't. Because without resources, freedom becomes theoretical. In today's world, money is something like a key that opens doors. Without this key, many doors remain closed. No matter how much we talk about equality and opportunity, that doesn't mean money makes a person better. It doesn't mean money automatically makes someone happy. But money gives a person something freedom can't exist without: the ability to choose. When a person has the ability to choose, they can decide where to live, who to spend time with, what to do with their life. When a person doesn't have that ability, their life depends on circumstances, and the fewer resources they have, the less freedom they have. That's why more and more people are realizing that in today's world, freedom is not just a legal right written in the books. Freedom is a state that appears when a person has financial independence. Financial independence doesn't mean millions in the bank. It means you aren't dependent on a single income source, you aren't afraid of tomorrow, and you can make decisions based on your goals rather than fear. When a person stops worrying about losing money, they start to feel what real freedom is. They can say no, they can leave, they can start over, they can change their life. And this is exactly why money plays such a huge role in modern life. Because money isn't just a means of payment, it's a tool that gives a person space to act. Many people think talking about money makes someone greedy or materialistic, but really, talking about money is talking about possibilities. Someone without resources has to accept what they're given. Someone with resources gets to choose. And the difference between these two states is massive. History has always been about the struggle for freedom. People fought for independence, for rights, for the ability to live on their own terms. But in today's world, the struggle has changed. Now you can have all the rights in the world and still feel dependent. Because dependence doesn't always look like chains or rules. Sometimes dependence looks like debt, like a job you can't quit, like the fear of losing stability. And that's why more and more people are talking about financial freedom, because they understand that without it, all other forms of freedom don't work fully. You can have the right to speak, but fear losing your job. You can have the right to choose, but no money to act on that choice. You can have the right to live anywhere, but no means to actually move. And then it becomes clear. Money in the modern world is more than just a medium. Money is a formula that determines how free a person can be. This formula isn't written in law books, but it works every single day. It works in big cities, small towns, rich societies, and poor ones. And the earlier someone realizes this, the sooner they start seeing life differently. They start to understand that behind the word freedom are always opportunities, and behind opportunities are almost always resources. That's why talking about money isn't talking about greed. It's talking about independence. It's talking about having the power to live on your own terms. And the deeper a person thinks about this, the clearer it becomes that a new formula of freedom exists, and it works every day even if nobody talks about it out loud. Most people never reach real financial freedom, and it's rarely because they're lazy or incapable. It's because the system is built in a way that keeps them working, keeps them dependent, keeps them trading their time for survival. From the moment we leave school, we're put on a path: study, graduate, get a job, pay bills, repeat. This cycle is designed to make sure most people don't stop to question it. Don't pause to think about whether this life is truly theirs. Debt, rent, loans, daily expenses, all of it creates invisible chains. Even small unexpected costs can cause panic. And these small panics build a life controlled by circumstance. And while the system keeps most people busy, there's a small percentage who see it differently. They notice that time is money, and money is freedom. They understand that if they can free themselves from dependence on a single paycheck, if they can build assets that earn while they sleep, if they can make their money work for them, then they gain something most people never experience: choice. Choice is the real definition of freedom. Without choice, freedom is only a word. The truth is harsh. Most people will never escape this loop because fear is a stronger motivator than ambition. Fear of losing what little they have. Fear of risk. Fear of failure. Fear keeps them in jobs they don't like, working for people they don't respect, doing work they don't care about. And the irony is that the very thing that can free them, the smart use of money, is exactly what they fear, because it requires risk, strategy, patience, and discipline. People don't realize that money is not just cash in a bank. Money is leverage. Money is time. Money is power over your own life. If you don't have it, life makes decisions for you. If you do, you make decisions for life. And the difference is massive. Those who understand this start thinking differently. They plan for the long term. They understand compound interest, investments, passive income, entrepreneurship. They don't chase short-term satisfaction, they build systems that give them options. And options equal freedom. But that doesn't happen overnight. It requires a mindset shift. It requires understanding that the world rewards those who act intentionally, who delay gratification, who study the rules of money instead of blindly following the system. The people who break out of the loop are often those who refuse to accept that work equals survival. They realize that if they want true freedom, they must stop selling their time for a wage that barely covers their needs. They must make their money work for them, not the other way around. And when they do, something remarkable happens. Suddenly, choices appear. Travel becomes possible. Entrepreneurship becomes possible. Investments, side projects, even time for creative pursuits all become possible. Life stops being dictated by bills and starts being guided by intention. The paradox is clear. Freedom is always framed as a social or political concept, but in practice, freedom is economic. Without financial independence, rights and laws mean little. Without resources, the right to speak, the right to move, the right to choose what you do with your time can be severely limited. And that is why so many people feel trapped despite living in free societies. They have legal freedom, but not practical freedom. And the ones who do understand this don't just work harder, they work smarter. They leverage knowledge, connections, and capital. They treat money as a tool, a key, a formula that opens doors that are otherwise closed. This is what separates those who live life on their own terms from those who spend decades living someone else's version of life. And finally, when a person truly grasps this, they understand that money is not the enemy. Money is not greed. Money is freedom in a tangible, actionable form. It is the resource that allows you to stop living reactively and start living proactively. It allows you to make decisions based on desire and strategy, not fear and necessity. And when you combine that understanding with discipline, patience, and knowledge, you unlock the ultimate form of independence, the ability to shape your own life, time, and choices. That's the new formula for freedom in the modern world. It's not just symbolic, It's not abstract. It's practical, measurable, and within reach for anyone willing to learn the rules, master the principles, and take control of their finances. The old ideas of freedom, political rights, social liberties, symbolic statues still matter, but they are incomplete without the ability to act on them. Money amplifies freedom. Money makes rights real. Money gives life options, flexibility, and control. And when you finally realize this, you see the truth. The Statue of Liberty, the iconic symbols, the stories we were told they represent ideals. But in practice, freedom without financial independence is often just a story. True freedom comes when you can make your own rules, follow your own path, and live life on your terms. Money is the tool that makes this possible. It doesn't guarantee happiness. It doesn't guarantee wisdom, but it guarantees choice, and choice is the foundation of real freedom. And that is why understanding, respecting, and mastering money is not selfish or materialistic. It is the single most practical step toward being truly free. Money is freedom in action, and in the modern world, it is the clearest measure of the life you can create for yourself, the decisions you can make, and the legacy you can leave behind. When you control your money, you control your options. When you control your options, you control your freedom. And that is the ultimate truth most people never learn until it's almost too late. This is the new formula. Money equals freedom. It's not a metaphor. It's a fact. The sooner you understand it, the sooner you start living on your own terms. And when you act on this understanding, every choice becomes yours, every day becomes yours, and your life becomes truly, undeniably free.